right from the beginning, my first year, I got to meet about 5 to 10 designers, and I really liked the way the approach was. It was more sort of controlled. In the retail environment, the clients are all over the place, and you just have to get them sort of focus on one thing. But the best part of the interior design is they always come sort of with a vision, with floor plan, because not too many people, even to this day, we have clients coming in, they don't know the size of the rug. So right off the bat, it's okay, let's just wait there and go back, measure, and then come back again. So I had the pleasure of knowing Trevor for last 30 years.
Decades.
Wow. Yes, and then again Regina.
We were in preschool together.
Yes, yes, exactly. Yeah, and so I thought this is a perfect idea to sort of have an event together, and especially it tells you what the whole process of this W Concierge is. And so that's what we're going to talk about. And again, thank you so much. And we start maybe with the...
Great, super. So thanks again for hosting us. We've got lunch for after this. Alan's got a few draws, so we want to make sure everybody puts their card or signs a card to put in the bin. We have a QR code on the bar, which we're going to do an IDC draw for a pair of tickets to the symposium in November. So there'll be 2 full days of content there. And we're going to dive in now. So I have known these 3 for varying amounts of time. I think I've maybe known Ariel the longest, and then Enid. It's hard to know which one I knew first. And Regina, I've only recently met in the last 2 or 3 years. We went on an IDC mission to Belgium together. And so that was good. And she was showing me some of the rugs she had designed for Alan. So we'll hear a little bit about that. So first of all, maybe each of you could introduce yourselves, talk a little bit about your studio, and how you work with projects, etc. So Regina, do you want to go first?
I'm Regina Sturrock, and I am the founder and creative director of Regina Sturrock Design. A little bit about my philosophy. I'm a purist at heart, and my firm is known for its calm, clean line spaces, finest attention to detail, and its classic aesthetic. But I feel that leaves plenty of room for freedom of expression, and of course those unique statements that really stand out, like fine jewelry pieces. My firm is now in its 28th year now, but who's counting? And we specialize in luxury new build design, both residentially as well as hospitality, across Canada, across the globe. Within the last several years, I have collaborated with several luxury brands, but I'm particularly proud of my collaboration with W Studio. It's a collection of beautiful artistic carpets, direct translation from my watercolor art. I'm a watercolorist as well, and that was inspired by my recent work in India. I believe, and further on to my philosophy, I really believe in that authenticity is, really the grounding for great design. And I feel that Alan and I really share that sentiment. Because it opens up the world of possibilities where, whether it's a classic envelope or whether it's a beautiful quality textile on the floor that really sets the scheme and has staying power, which is so important. This is the timeless canvas for captivating with.
Excellent.
Excellent.
Go ahead.
Ditto.
And we're done.
Very eloquent. So grateful to all of you for being here. I don't do this often, but when Alan asked me about it, I couldn't say no. We've known each other, as you've heard and guessed, a long time. So you're new to this industry. I started in '86.
I'm new.
So,
Yeah, you're a baby.
So Alan and I know each other 35 plus years.
Oh my goodness.
I guess some would say we started.
I met your mom first.
That's right.
Yeah,
So-
bless her.
Yeah, my mom. So I come by it honestly. My mom was actually an interior designer, and she studied design when she was pregnant with me. I tried not to go into design. I also tried not to work with my spouse, as my parents worked together. So I do work with my spouse, and I'm very grateful to be in design. I studied architecture initially and then switched back when I realized I actually love furniture design and detail of smaller items, what I grew up with, as opposed to, designing cities or taller buildings. So over the years, I've worked with W Studio, going back, as we said, and we've done a lot of different projects together. And one thing about myself and my firm is we believe in working with the client, thoughtful design approach. And yes, everyone's thoughtful, but it's about them and not about our style and our taste necessarily. So yes, we bring our detail excellence and our passion for design to them, but it's about listening and hearing what they're asking for, their lifestyle, their taste, their preferences, and encouraging them to have the courage to share that, because sometimes they're intimidated or they're shy about it. But at the end of the day, we leave, they live there hopefully for many years and enjoy the space. So that's always been front and center for me. So it's not a signature look. If you see any of our work, you'll see there's like, what are they? What are they doing? So we go from very traditional. When I started years back, Toronto was modern, then it moved to traditional mainly, and then more back to the mod the last 10, 15 years or so. So young designer trying to make my mark and my way, so I sort of was more of a chameleon trying to make it work with clients in their spaces. So my passion is more modern, contemporary, clean line, understated elegant, as we often refer to. But as of late, we've had some fun clients that love color. So people used to think, oh, they just do the taupes, the beiges, the cream. And they would always say, okay, this, we'll show your clients these. And it was like, great. And now suddenly it's more is more, right? Like
That's right.
a recent project where blues and greens and this and that, like unbelievable. So I guess the common thread is similar to yourself, is attention to detail. Very passionate about detail, a perfectionist at heart. But we have some stories. Yeah, you want to interject, please?
My first time, this goes back long time ago. We had a project in Oakville. He gave me the measurement. I said, I want 11 feet, 1.5 inch wide. I said, are you serious? Like this is handmade carpet. They go for a couple of inches here and there. And I said, like, I do my best, but I can't really guarantee a 1/2 inch on the size of the carpet. Yeah. So you're absolutely right.
Yeah. So I've mellowed a bit. Now it's like,
We understand each other.
yes, we totally
We totally
right?
understand.
And it speaks volumes to Alan and his team, because they put up with it, and they not only put up with it, they accept it and they thrive with it, right? So and we joke openly, as you can see, about it, because, okay, I've learned more since then as to, okay, what's the reality, what's the integrity of the material that we're working with, and what are the expectations? So he helps manage our expectations and us then the clients. By the way, that point was I wanted it to stop at a certain point, you can relate, where the hardwood planks were. I didn't want it here or there, I wanted it right there. Right? So, or there's floor vents and then openings and trying to balance all that. So great to collaborate with. And like I say, I don't do this speaking thing very often, so kudos to them, because I do love them. I appreciate them for so many years, gracing our projects and our clients' houses with some stunning carpets. And then more recently, we've collaborated, similar to yourself, on collections where it was a treat to be able to say, okay, this isn't for a specific project, this is for the passion of this carpet, and let's create something, whether it's inspired by nature or raindrops or organic patterns or otherwise. And we still have a few we want to do, so
absolutely.
Hopefully we'll get to those one day, but grateful for the ones that we have done. And again, I'm here because they were invited, but I would tell you, even if we met somewhere else, if you needed anything customized or even existing carpets, not only the quality and the detail is amazing, but the service is second to none. Our clients are always enamored with them, because they'll come, they'll help us if there's furniture, they'll move it, they'll place the carpet, and just very patient. Do you remember the one in the Yorkville penthouse? You came, I think it was COVID was sort of on off. It was a good period, and you came there and you brought the palms, the little colored threads, and it was a renovation. So I couldn't bring parts of the floor or the wall to them, to here. So he was gracious enough to come there, as he has many times. Or sometimes they'll bring different carpets if we're doing something from the existing collection in a certain size. Client wants to see some in their space. So definitely amazing that way. I just want to say one more thing. I guess the best way for us to do it is when we can is, as he's saying, we figure out the floor plan, we figure out the overall initial concept of the different materials and the colors and what's going to happen. And then we'll work with Alan to say, okay, these are the ones we want to show the client. And then we'll start ideally earlier instead of last minute, because it does take a lot of time to do these hand-woven carpets, which it's amazing what your artisans do. And it takes time. So that way we can start hopefully sooner than later to give them the time they need to get it done.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Great. And Enid McIntosh.
Hello, I'm Enid McIntosh, and I'm honored to be here today. I don't normally speak. I'm very much in the background.
Thank you so much for doing that. I know you're very shy, quiet, you know.
But Alan is amazing, and I graduated '89, so from Ryerson as an interior designer, and I was hired the day I graduated. And I called the office at 10 o'clock at night, and Brian Patton picked up, and he said, "Can you come in tomorrow morning?" And I spent almost 30 years there. And then, so I remember Alan on Yonge Street, and then he was in Pears Avenue.
Yeah.
And the beauty of Alan is that he makes my life easy, and he saves me so much time. Sometimes I don't know what I want. I have no idea. Like, I have a sense, but the curation he does just brings you right on focus. And I don't think we've ever not sold a rug together.
We have it almost 10 out of 10, yeah. Yeah.
And they've gone internationally, all over the place. I think my favorite rug was the one with the colors, the brush strokes that we sent to Israel.
Herzliya?
Yeah,
yeah.
But I don't have any particular favorites. So. But I've been doing condo work for 30 years. I've been on my own for 10 years with Great Interiors. It's all word of mouth. I expand and contract depending on how much work I'm doing. I decided after a few decades that I wanted to do my own timing. But then I realized how exhausting it is to run your own business. Right?
That's a whole other seminar.
But again, Alan saves time. Like I just come in some colors, here's the idea, here's a floor plan. His team is amazing, always makes the clients feel incredible. Sometimes it's always better to bring the client here first, right? Get a sense, a feel like,
Sure.
and then he just shows up and he moves the furniture, sets it down.
Yeah, we have a saying, the show must go on, We are part of the show. We are here to serve the clients, Us, the designer, us and the clients, we are here to serve them. And at the bottom line is what makes them happy. And at the end, the smile on their face is the one that is priceless. So I took it very personally. We really get personal with each individual clients. Sometimes I ask many questions, about their lifestyles, how old the clients are. Do they have young family? Is the husband careful or not? What kind of pets they have? What color the dog is, Because it has so many variants that what makes a right carpet for that particular project. And it was for the first 10 years of my life, I was doing mostly Persian rugs. So it was sort of a 98, and I realized, I got to get off this Persian train. It's not taking me to where I wanted to be, and especially there's a lot of restriction when it comes to Oriental Persian rugs. 95% of them have a center medallion. And that could be challenging, How are you going to put it in the living room? Where are you going to put the coffee table? And then if someone fall in love with the rug, it's too small or it's too large, then we are out of luck. So I don't have a really design background. I'm not an artist per se.
Yes, you are.
But I have a very good visual memory, and I have sort of many of our designs, I see it from the images. Sometimes I see the road tracks on the roads, like the stuff that you pick up as you go, as many creative people are. So I went to Nepal. Back then, back in '98, nobody was doing modern carpets or contemporary rugs. So I went there, not knowing too many people or anyone actually. And I started sort of basically creating our own designs, and Trevor was part of the Arido and the head of the Arido, and also the IDEX show. So we start entering rugs for the awards, and got quite a few.
Many awards.
Yeah, and it got us more excited, and it's always something about our business. I have to keep in mind that what's next. And the moment that now people are tired of the grays and beiges. The colors are coming back.
Absolutely.
I personally love colors and patterns, and unfortunately, the other side of the coin, everybody's going plain white carpet. And that really breaks my heart. Every time I see a post on our designers or magazines, everything is cream sofa, cream chairs, beige, and a white carpet. So there's not much of artistry, and I can't really charge $10,000-$20,000 on a plain white carpet. You know what I mean? So that is something that it has, and one thing that I always kept in mind is coming from Iran myself, grew up on Persian rugs. So one thing made Persian rugs everlasting is the knot counts. So they have a high density and lots of details. So that I kept that into our new production. So higher the dots takes longer to be made, but it gives us a better resolution, like in printing, higher the DPI. And so we always use hand spun and hand carded wool. None of our rugs are machine worsted yarn. So the traditional way of making rugs, let's say 100 years ago, they had to brush the yarn by hand. They call carding, which I have a video I'm going to show you later. And then, and the reason I picked Nepal is the only country has border to Tibet. And I was doing a little bit of research in terms of the best wool, where you get the best wool from. And Tibetan wool are known with their resilience. Tibetan sheep, they live about 4,500 meters above the sea level, so they're high plateau sheep's wool. They eat fresh water, drink fresh water, they eat fresh grass. And because also the climate, the wool has to be longer, and they have the highest percentage oil in them. So the lanolin oil. Mm-hmm. So that was actually the selling point for me. And countries like India or Pakistan, they're made for larger volume. But luckily, Tibetan or the manufacturers that I've been working with, they're okay to do one carpet, custom carpet, which is that's what our main bread and butter is, to really specialize a rug, not into the right size, even the shape, the changing the colors. So Nepal was the one that was winning, and over the last 25, 30 years that I've been working with them, and I've been pushing the envelope. The example of those two carpets, the ombre carpet, there are over 50 different shades of one color. That is one of the hardest carpet we ever produced. I mean, when I come up with the concept, we send it to the weaving house. I was hoping that sometimes they say, the good thing about Tibetan people, actually, that's one thing about that, I think that I fell in love with the Tibetan culture, and a lot of them they live in Nepal. They are one of the kindest, nicest people as human beings you can find. One story I have to, this funny story. I was in the factory, it's like maybe early 2000. There were a lot of flies. And I was just getting annoyed. I tried to kill one, and I missed it. So later on at night, and the daughter of the weaving house said, "Mr. Allen, we believe in reincarnation. You tried to kill a fly." And I was so shocked. I said, "I'm sorry, I had no idea." And so I realized that, if they believe in certain, like karma is a big deal for them. And for us having exclusivity of a design and our carpets to be made for us, not to sell our design to somewhere else, that was also another highlight that I sort of always sometimes. The pushing the envelope is also another thing, and I don't think anybody in our industry is willing or capable of making one monochromatic rug with that many different shades. And so collaborating with designers, I started with Ariel, and he's very specific, and he does everything custom. And I went to him and said, Ariel, you always do custom for this and that. Why don't you do a collection, Let's create something together, I know your style, but let me produce something. And then on his trips to Turkey, that some of the stuff that's photographed, and you brought that sort of the waterfall.
Oh, yeah.
And again with Regina, and I said to her, like, you have an artist, like, watercolor is the most difficult carpet. Actually, the front carpet that you see, that's one of Regina's carpet. At first, we tried to make it in 100-knot carpet, and it didn't work because the shade, we had to make it in 150 knots per square inch. And so at one point, she was on the phone with me for a few hours, multiple times, and she wanted to have it done with silk and wool because we do tons of silk and wool. And I said, no, Regina, there's no way that the silk and wool is not going to turn out on the watercolor. Because when you highlight in silk, it's going to overpower the rest of it. So it has to be, and eyes cannot read the difference between the silk and the wool, but our eyes can pick up the slight variation in shades if we keep it in wool. So she accepted, and so really creating the one-of-a-kind carpet, although it's a lot of work, it's a hassle, and I don't think too many rug dealers wanted to work in custom because it is hard, and also the dye lots. Like from what you see from a palm and how it gets dyed and then how it gets woven. Even the wall-to-wall manufacturers, fabric manufacturers, they always have this little tone, like dye lots may vary or will vary, And something about our custom, sometimes people want us to do a small strike-off before we go ahead for the larger one. But actually, I don't do that part at all, and my explanation is when they do a small 1x1 or 2x2, they have to dye the yarn in a small pot. Once we get the order for 10x14 or 12x18, they have to get the big bats and the sort of thing. There is no way. And I learned that from Alex Chapman,
Oh, yes.
And actually, we did the projects together, and then we did a sample, and then we got it, and it was a few shades off. And so that's one thing that I realized, but again, relationship that I've developed over the years, and those people, they studied in US, so they do have a English, so the language is not a barrier, so it's not going to get lost in translation. And I don't really want to work with new weaving houses because it's a test of, and it's our reputation. When we take it, first of all, we take a pride of you coming to us. So putting your trust in us in terms of your reputation is online. If we screw up, it reflects on you,
You've never screwed up.
Yeah, but I'm like things that happen, but again, that's a responsibility. So that's why, thank God, I don't travel anymore back to Nepal. Thank God with the new technology, FaceTime, WhatsApp, and each order I make a WhatsApp, explain, okay, this is the plan, and that's why our designers, when they send us the sort of storyboard, the mood board and all that, so I really understand, and then I would translate their vision onto the production. So the best part about this, like rug shopping, as I said, is the most difficult, and you all experience that. You have to go out of your busy schedule, you have to go from store to store, going through flipping carpets, and the laborers, the staff, they're not too willing to even flip carpets. I've heard that a lot from other people. And then not really understanding the shades or the tones and what colors may be. And when our designers give us their wish list, and that's what the whole idea of the W Concierge is, you tell us what you want. In a perfect world, you give us the budget is very important. Before we start with anything else, we want to know what the budget range is, the floor plan with measurements, color direction, personality, and the lifestyle of that customer. And once we receive the information, we start giving you range of possibilities from simple, intermediate, intricate, from sort of a classic, transitional, or contemporary, and then your job would be much easier once you knowingly that these are within your budget range. You know, many times you have experienced that, I'm sure, that you or your client fall in love with the rug, but it's twice or three times as much as they wanted to spend. And education is also the most important part. When you have your clients, it would be great to you bring them here. Many people, it's the first time buying rugs, or at least the quality of rugs, you know. And if they have bought, they have bought more the traditional stuff. So I would go through the process of educating them what to look for, what not to look for, or what to be aware of. Especially nowadays that everyone's trying to cut corners and they're bringing the lower material. In our rug business, two things makes the carpet less expensive. It's a cheaper material and cheaper labor. If we do any of this one, which I've tried in the past, I tried to get the right colors, right design, but the lower quality, I was so disappointed, and I never do that again. It was almost shooting myself in the foot, you know, and also I don't have the confidence to really sell these. And these rugs are the lifetime. People may get tired of the look, but the carpet should be in a perfect condition. And one thing that is sort of a hidden is the shedding part, like the fiber falling off. And using the hand-spun idea, or the long hair wool that we use out of a Tibetan, they don't break, they don't fall apart. And so that's basically what we do here. And the shape, and especially nowadays with the curvilinear furniture, with the kidney shapes and the odd shapes, we could also do, I was for the longest time against this sort of a weird amoeba look.
The big splash.
The splash, and also I was more worried about the furniture placement and the tripping hazard.
Sure.
And sometimes I see people that they see the carpet, some of them, they have this much of a height and then very low. And I'm sort of worried, you know, what if going to be a trip hazard if someone comes in with the heels catches on. So that's the bottom line of us. And then we also have production beside Nepal. We also do our own production in Pakistan and India. Like the example on that very top carpet on the pile is the Uşak carpet, which is a Turkish design, but we remake this. So anything that it takes about 4, 5, 6 months to have a carpet made. We took an order of this particular rug. Actually, this one is not designed by Kareem Rashid. We did the collaboration back in 2020. That was our last time that we did the IDS show. We did the launch there, but right after that, then the COVID happened, so everything went on to a thing. And his tones, this has like 49 shades of colors. If you notice, like this is the darkest color, it has 8 colors. And we took an order of this rug for one of our clients that we're making it 16 feet by 28 feet. That just got off the loom, and we are quite excited to see that carpet, you know. And we did not blow up the scale. Normally, in a running designs, whatever design is, as the size goes larger, we enlarge the scale. But on these ones here, we kept the scale, but we added more. Repeat, so that otherwise if this would have been way too oversized. So I learned a lot from every project that we did. Thank you so much for all this trust that you put in it, because you have choice of going anywhere or everywhere.
You know
But you're
the
so
saying?
focused. You're
Yeah.
so focused on rugs.
Yeah, I'm
You live and breathe it.
Yeah, exactly.
True.
So let me ask a question
Yes.
around that and the relationship. Perhaps you could give the group some specific explanations of successes you've had collaborating with them. A specific project, outcomes, why the clients were happy, why you were happy, why you keep coming back. Anyway.
I can speak
I
to
can.
that. Well, it's just,
Okay.
Alan always knows, I don't know, he just always gets it right. And he's got my back too. So you can come in here and, with a client, and walk away with a rug. You don't have to do custom, but that's usually where they start. You know, there's the rug and then they get to know Alan. And I just find that you just make me look good every time.
You make me look good, you know?
That's exactly what it is. He does make us look good through your expertise. We've been working together for what, 15, 20 years
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
at
yeah,
least. And I would say that the success of working with Alan and his team is really starts with the shared enthusiasm
Yeah.
for the craft, the passion for the craft. Alan is not about selling a carpet. No, he is totally about, he's interested in our creative process. He's interested in the inspiration behind it. He's interested in the people that we're creating for. And he's interested in our vision. And he helps complete the story. And I feel that is
For
just
sure.
goes in spades when it comes to, confidence with what our clients are purchasing, confidence in what we are doing. We often begin the whole process, because we do new build design right from the ground up. Sometimes I send Alan, the concepts architecturally where it's just really a seed. And, the essence of the project. And sometimes he actually finds the hinge to the full creative circle right there. When I come in here and start sourcing, I'm always, I basically bring my entire studio with me.
Materials or people?
No, just the materials. Sometimes the people, sometimes.
I just want to understand what you're saying.
Just the whole carload of stuff. The vision materials, the floor plans, which we've already reviewed, the renderings, even the potential artwork, because this is art.
I've used it on the walls.
When you look at this this looks
It's
like a
great
gallery,
acoustically,
right?
yeah,
So you're
yeah.
completing that story. So I come in here and I'm always greeted with a great big nice cup of coffee, because that's essential.
First, yes, 100%. Yeah.
Amazing house.
And we walk through and we really start to curate. And I think what it's all about is, again, going back to the expertise, the understanding of design. You are an artist,
Oh,
right?
he's an artist.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
The understanding of design
And design.
and the creative process, and then just to bring it together and allow us to, just to find that perfect piece. I think it's so essential. And, you always do it. You always help us complete that story. And sometimes, he helps us also in your expertise to understand, potentially the best carpet for a particular room setting or a particular furniture arrangement, or even how the light comes into a space, right? To help, select that in a very curated way.
Exactly.
The other thing is just when we're thinking about, okay, well, now we selected for the dining room, but what about the adjoining space and then the adjoining space? It's a flow, it's a continuous story. And he helps us, and you're so good at that. He helps us to
He's a genius.
curate it so that it is like a curated collection from room to room.
And you can
So
buy
you make
rugs-
us look great.
And you can buy rugs anywhere, right?
Absolutely.
What's amazing about this is the focus on rugs and quality.
Yeah.
And that will go anytime, anywhere. Because there's either the bottom or there's the top. There's nothing in the middle anymore. And the service is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like, you will not regret ever working with Alan.
Ariel?
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I totally, what they said, and also the team, right? The service,
Oh, the guys.
the excellence of service. So he's the artist, the soul, the mind, the ability to see a space and remember the colors. And then I was just going to finish with the team, and then, of course, David and
Yeah.
all you guys, the patience that you put up with us, because it's like not only the flipping, but even on site, it's
An
like,
inch this
okay,
way,
move the
inch
furniture this way. It's all ready to go. Can we go?
Oh, put that back again?
You know what? I think 1 inch that way would be better, or now we're going to turn it 180 because we always like the light side first. But in this case, I think that side needs the light side. So this is going to, and
Always
yeah,
with a smile, right?
right? And so gracious.
And it could be 4 or 5 on top of each
Yeah.
other, and you're picking.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I think I have a post with one of that you did,
Yeah.
Carlos.
That's right.
And
Yes.
and then for Carlo, his mom, the story when you were at the other location, and we were there with it's an elderly lady,
Yeah.
and she was wonderful, and she wasn't sure, and at that time you had a motorcycle, you hopped on the bike with your iPad, you came to the house, we looked at some designs, right?
Yeah.
You had the colors in mind, and then he picked several options. I was amazed, right? Because that wasn't One of them we did do custom,
That's
very
right.
traditional, but
Yeah,
the
the
others,
rest of them, it was just perfect.
right?
Yeah.
And I was like, really? I wasn't sure, and he brought them and the team, and again, they put up with me, and it was amazing.
Excellent.
So, and then you wove that gorgeous large carpet, was stunning. So I was just going to say, so I have a saying, which you've heard before probably as well, is pressure creates diamonds. So I think the pressure that we bring, the gift we brought Alan and his team, created diamonds, right? Like truly, if you have an opportunity to work with W Studio, we're not paid for this. We just really appreciate it.
Sure.
I know, right? We just really appreciate what they've done, all of you guys, for us over the years.
So the positive accolades are plentiful
Yes.
and easy to talk about. Have there been any experiences where something has gone wrong and Alan has been able, with his team, to fix an issue or come up with a solution or a challenge, or that never happens because he's so good the first time?
You know what? Absolutely. I don't think anything's gone wrong, but what I want to say is the most important part, first of all, white glove service, concierge service, however you want to deal with it, it's however you want to say it, it is like from start to finish, all of those things have been considered and we feel safe in your hands. But if there is a problem, you know, you're definitely there for that. But what I would say the most important thing is when you're buying, for any purchase for a client, is that it is certainly upon installation day, upon installation of the product. And that's most important to really kind of assure our clients that they've made the best decision and that they're going to be happy with it and they're going to continue to be happy with it, right? So I think that all comes down to the experience of that special day when those beautiful pieces come in and where everything comes in and there's excitement in the air and there's a little angst, hopefully everything's perfect.
Yes.
And going back to your perfection, you know, again, it's about, you know, Alan's very competent installers understanding the care that needs to go in the surrounding areas too, the care that goes into that process of installing a special piece, like a piece of art. And, you know, sometimes it means a shift just a half an inch this way to align with the floorboard, you know, and there's a lot of patience there. But I can leave with a satisfying feeling, a feeling that, oh my gosh, I've left it as perfect as I can, because that's how I am too. I'm a perfectionist to a fault. So that's really important. And then sometimes, often, Alan, you have come by and brought your level of enthusiasm and your expertise, and you know, just to explain any of the details, the questions that my clients may have in terms of care and maintenance, all of that stuff. I think that's really important. You know, just to kind of consolidate the fact that they've made the great decision, and that it's going to be a beautiful end, as it is a beautiful end result.
Yeah.
So I think that's very, very important.
One thing in terms of we iron carpets. I don't think any company they do that because sometimes when you get the carpets that they have fold lines, it will go away. You know, everybody says it'll go away, but it may take months for it to go away. But one thing we do, we put the carpet before the delivery date. You know, sometimes the construction takes some time. We have a room in the back that we keep our sort of rugs to be delivered. So we need about maybe a few days in advance. We pull the carpet off, we examine it. Not only the examination is done in Nepal before it gets shipped, but in here, but sometimes you see it creases and we flip the carpet, we iron it. And thanks to Davis, he's the best person in terms of ironing the carpets. And some of the most difficult, and sometimes they are folded. Some of the massive rugs that we get, they cannot be sent in a roll. So if it's in a roll, it's easier. But when it's folded, sometimes it would take us a day or days to work on it. To make sure that, because as you mentioned, it's a reveal day. And to be honest, like they spend a lot of money. So first of all, whoever can afford you as a designer, so they come from a higher level of income. At the same time, with a high expectation, because they want the best, and they expect the best. So I take it, like that's why in every project we have to get involved, because it's at the end, it's them how happy they are, and that's again going back to happiness factor. We make people happy, like that's the best part about it.
I think the rugs are happy.
Yes.
I think the material it's made from is
But
it's
here's
the
other-
vibration.
Here's the other thing too, you've come back years later, right? Where there's a spill,
Right.
and you've come into our client's home,
Yep.
and you've, brought it back to its glory of when it was first installed. So I
You
think.
didn't get anything out.
Yeah. That goes
Yeah,
back to
and
the
it is really
thing, yeah, about the material itself, because when you use that high, I have a friend of mine who does most of our cleaning, this difficult one. He goes to me and says, "Alan, what's with your rugs?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Like I pick up carpets that clients bought from other people. I have a hell of a job cleaning them, but yours is just like a one-time wash. It comes back. Most of the stain comes out automatically without working on it.
They resist the
It's
dirt.
because of the oil in the lanolin, of the high count of lanolin oil in
Yeah.
the wool, and being that hand spun, that and the higher density. That's basically what it does. We had a client that they had a dog accident, and I thought it's impossible to remove it. And it was a COVID dog, and they just used the dining room carpet. I swear, I've never seen it. I've never seen a rug that so much stains
Soil?
on it. It was disgusting, and I thought it had to be thrown out. But again, the same guy, my friend, he took it out. It took a couple of weeks to work on it. It came back like a day one. A client couldn't imagine, those are and also after sales service, that's also another thing. I had a call from one of our designers that got a 10 by 20 carpet, and they wanted to ask what's the materials to have it clean. I said, you know what, if you want to have it clean, don't give it to anyone. We take care of that cleaning. Cleaning is not our thing. It's a very difficult process, but again, for our customers, we extend that service because we know how the carpets, and I know based on that rug who does the best cleaning. So it's about it's not only one time, and the good thing, the whole idea that I love working with designers, in a retail environment, you get your best customers that are done for next 5 years, 10 years, or forever, you never see them again. But in the designer format of the business, it's a repeat business. And most of our clients, they have multiple projects, so it's about relationship. And having you trusting us is the most important part that we can never take it for granted. That's also, that's how much we really get involved in each individual project. Yeah.
And then you run into them when you're traveling.
Yes.
At the airport, and it's like a whole relationship.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also certain clients, okay, another thing that I learned over the years, every culture sees beauty and
Different filter.
Exactly, they have a different eye set. So I basically knowing the designer, because every design firm, they have a certain brand that they more or less, the look is this, like Corey, she's a very colorful person and she loves colors. Anytime I see a colorful rug, I think about her, like she's gonna love it. Yeah, so based on your brand of design firm, they have that sort of certain personality that you attract those customers based on your personal liking. And also their customers based on their cultural or heritage. I had a client that they're from India and they were looking at carpets, like a beige, gray, white carpet. She was looking at magazines, they brought that in, and I couldn't help, I said, you know what, I don't think this is the right route for you. I said, you grew up with all the spices, with saris and stuff like that.
Color.
Yes, this is your color, but we can keep the colors, but make it maybe monochromatic color, not as colorful. So those are the stuff that helped me. For instance, English people, they don't mind anything that is worn, and it's got even some repairs, visible repair. Italian people, they hate anything that is old and resembles old or anything. So I lost the sale, like this goes back 30 some years ago. I had an Italian client that they bought a Persian rug. That's when I was doing Persian rugs. And I said to her, oh, this is semi-antique. This is 50, 60 years old. And she goes, what do you mean 60 years old? Where did this carpet been? I said, look, this had carpet gets antiqued, probably someone else's home. I said, no, take this. I don't want to touch it. I don't want to have it. Get this carpet out of my face, So I lost that sale. I said, okay, I should have said that, It looks perfect, So that's why also another thing, and be able to connect with your customers and really getting your design. Like I'm also the middleman. Like you have a vision, you bring the customers, and the customers that could be all over the place. With your direction, we can sort of guide them to the right without going off. And as you mentioned, we do a lot of trials to bring the carpets to the site. Because
That's the best.
light changes everything.
You set it in their room and they're sold.
Yeah, the room will tell. And that's why we try to take the personal, because sometimes men are from Mars and women are from Venus, like see things totally different. The room will tell. That's also another thing, because sometimes I see people get too, they get too sensitive about, I hate this, I love this, and I don't like this, but they forget whether the room has to like it.
I want to say something about that.
Yeah.
There's a huge force in sensory design, multi-sensory design, where we're designing not only where things that are visually striking, but also emotionally appealing. It's a big movement in human-centric design. I was talking about it at CAVIS just recently, and I think that, obviously the carpet is a huge portion of that. It provides, it appeals to a lot of our senses, and you have to look at the big picture. It is, an environment that you're creating for the person, the experience. So it, covers color psychology, what people love, tactility, materiality, acoustics, and of course all those beautiful jewel pieces that really stand out, like art. So, think really carpet kind of touches on all bases of that, and I think that we're really kind of going away from the raw floorboards and nothing else. So it's a good time to really be in the carpet industry, because it really is part of that kind of immersive environment that we're all looking for. And I think that it's not just about white. Maybe it is an all-white room. Yeah. That's another kind of an immersive environment, but it could also be something really striking where, it's jewel toned or beautifully patterned. But I think that we really need to think about the carpet as part of that immersive experience, not just the carpet, not just the pattern, not just something that matches. It's like going to an art gallery again and finding something really special.
It's not an accessory. It's an inherent piece of the solution.
You mentioned something about actually the healing part. Something about right from the beginning, I could have gone to so many different directions in terms of, I never liked, I always fell in love with the wool, the silk. Never had anything synthetic, never gone to the machine made. And the purity of the wool, actually, I did a lot of research on woolsofnewzealand.com, which they have, that's the business that they've done a lot of tests. It has so much health benefits. It cleans the air from the particles, stuff that shocked me when I learned. Wool fiber is too large for your lung to get ingested, so it's asthma safe, especially nowadays with a lot of the issues that people have. And it's a naturally fire retardant. So it's
the lobbies.
Yes, yeah. And then and also another designer that I was talking in PEI, she's gone and she taught me this, which I learned it like maybe 6 months ago, that a well-designed room, I like the thing, it has the same effect in terms of healing sickness than medication.
Or a massage.
Nothing beats a massage.
So it does have a lot of the benefit of the actual.
If you're lying flat on the carpet, I don't know.
It has to feel nice. Also, the other thing, if you're in the sight and touch business, first has to appear to your eyes, like almost like a painting. You mentioned that art on our tagline. We use that sort of art for the fifth wall for a long time, and it has that sort of, and it's the largest piece of art when you think about it. Minimum like 8 by 10 is 80 square feet. That's pretty impactful.
People don't look up; they always look up.
And also on top of it, you lay on it, you touch it, you feel it. So not only my first thing is either anytime you're looking at rugs, Just look at it visually, it has to appeal to you, you have to be attracted visually, and then it has to feel nice. By feeling it, touching it, folding it in your hand, the softer it feels, like this feels like fabric.
Textile,
Yeah, you can upholster a chair, it's not stiff. And that's the reason, especially in the handmade rug, that we are in the textile business, like warp vertical and weft horizontal. Weft on a rug is hidden between each row, so you can't really see it. In a textile, warp and weft has to be the same thickness, but 99% of weaving house, to speed up the process, they use twice as thick as the weft or 3 times as thick as the weft. So it finished the carpet faster. You can't really tell, but you could always feel it by folding it. So that's also another tip that I'd like to share with you. Make sure that you turn the back, try to fold it. If you start feeling that sort of is like it's hard, you can't do it, or you bend it over, it springs back down, that's not a well-made rug. Yeah.
Ariel, did you have something you wanted to say about
Oh,
a challenge or success?
Yeah. So it wasn't anything W Studio did, or maybe it was us. The client had decided on this gorgeous carpet. You're probably going to know in a minute who. Thick one.
No names.
Oh,
Oh,
Right?
yes.
And they loved it. It was for their family room. They spent a lot of time barefoot. It's like, And so, I don't know, a few years later, he's like, we love this carpet, but I dropped something and it's lost in there. Like we vacuum and they vacuum a lot, but I can't get this thing clean, and they're neat freaks. And it's like, why did we do this? So very graciously, they were very helpful. Like we talked about bringing carpets, right, to the house. It was now a finished house, and it's like, what are we going to do here? And they have the means, but also it's the second time for the carpet. So it's like, okay, what are good options, but not like that first one was. Yeah.
The first one was like an Angora. It was a deep, this thick Angora, softest thing you can touch. Because Angora, it comes from, it's a goat's hair. So it has very luminescent, like it's very shiny. And he had a habit of sitting down when he coming home. And where he sat down, actually that area got worn out.
Not me, the client.
Yeah, the client, yeah. So it was some bald patches after using the same spot as it was there. So we got the same color, but we took this, we made it an Afghani mountain sheep wool, which has the same luster, but much tighter in a Persian weave. So that was the solution.
Yes.
And
then also the second part of it was the cleaning.
Oh,
and then
yes.
storing it.
Yes,
We
yes.
thought maybe he'll use it on his yacht. Maybe we'll cut it into a couple pieces.
That's right, yeah.
And then at the end, finally, we got it back to the client. But you were kind enough to keep it here for a while.
Yeah. We are here for you. That's bottom line. Now, whatever your wish is, we'll try to go.
call Alan, he'll pick up the phone.
Yes.
And
Yes.
Sure, go ahead, Corey.
Some of us may have had terrible custom rug experiences with other places that shall not be named.
Yeah.
So can you take us through, since you don't do a strike-off, can you take us through, like from beginning to end, how the custom process works?
Okay, first of all, many times we do custom sizes. Like for instance, like this example, like you pick the design the way it is, we just, that's easy, that's not a problem. So we show you the rendering, in the right scale, so you get to see, you sign off. If it's a custom color, like for instance, we are working on another project in this one. So it's a dining room for this project, and they had the purple, their multicolored chair, and there was a purple that they were thinking of replacing one of this one, but I figured if you change this one, it throws off. So we added onto it. We add the right tone. We show the rendering, so we didn't need to, but and we did a few different versions for the randomness of it, keeping it. And so we do show you the rendering when we have the palms here, which is actually it's the trays of all those palms. Our weaving house has the same thing. They will match it. And if there's any problem, we'll do it. I had one time that we ordered the rug that is the code got lost. We wanted the gray, the carpet got gold. It wasn't supposed to be that way, It happened. And then we just let them to keep that carpet, and then we made another one at no charge, So we will, if the customer is not happy, we are not happy because your name is on it. So although there is that fine line that when we sign up, there is that sort of dialogue may vary and stuff like that. We never, actually, we had a client, that Alex Chapman project that we mentioned, and we did a strike off, and then we got a larger one. And when I went to the house, and Alex asked me to, can you meet me at the customer? She's very, and so I went there and sort of saw, I looked around, she had antique Persian rugs, and this carpet we did a custom, sort of more modern for the dining room. And I realized it wasn't about the color, few couple of shades lighter and darker. And I told her, I said, it's not about the color. I see like it's the style, because it was out of her comfort zone. And I gave her 3 options. I said, I see, we did a 10 by 15 for the dining room, but 10 by 14 would have worked too. It wasn't a big deal. And I said, I see you have Persian rugs. You have one, your option is you can come, pick any rugs that you want that is already pre-made. So that's one option. B is the sample. I can send the sample back again. If you like that sample from the larger one, I can make sure that sample gets dyed exactly like that one. And you can hold on to this rug until the other carpet gets ready within the 6 months. And the C is I will give you money back. So at the end, she didn't like anything else. We wrote a check back to her, and she was happy, and he was happy. He was thanking me outside. Thank you. I said, look, we've done so much project over the years, and it's only a rug. It's not the end of the world, you know. Anyone else would have said, okay, that's too bad. It's a dialogue variation that happens. It's handmade. But at the end, if they're not happy, sometimes the clients actually had one customer that a long time ago at the beginning, we had a border design, and there was a small diamond in the center. We did the diamonds tone on tone, but the border had the color, and she emphasized that I want to have the same color of the border as a small diamond in the center. And I told her it's going to be very dotty, you know, like it's not that I was. And she said, I don't care, I want it that way. It's okay. We got this, we made the carpet. She wasn't happy with it. And I could have easily said, you know what, you said it. I told you not to do it. You said it. But again, because of, I think, I took the carpet back, we sold it to someone else. So, and that's what, and those ones, yes, it might take some time, but we haven't had much, because our people, the reason that customers, like India, they do a lot of volume. And the carpets are made in different regions. They're not centralized. In Kathmandu, that's what I love, from the washing, the preparing the yarns, from spinning, dyeing, everything is done under one compound. So there is no room for that much of a mistake. And every 10 centimeters, 4 inches on the loom, the weavers, that's depending on how many weavers are, they have to stop, and supervisor comes in, gives a checklist for them to continue. So there's any mistakes that would have catch it. But that particular one, you know, like we don't have we make them happy.
So to elaborate on the time frame,
yes,
if you were doing a strike off, how much more time would that add to the delivery?
6 weeks.
An additional
minimum of 6 weeks to just do.
So there is a benefit
It's a benefit, but because it's not accuracy and
to not getting it. I mean,
not to get it. It's not worth it.
I think it's more about, you know, having that thing there, that strike off, so you can kind of continue on with your work as you're going along and finding, you know, kind of honing in on the details, the layering of, so you have it. But I want to ask you, what is more of a variance in terms of dye lot? Is it wool or silk when it comes to that?
Silk is more luminescent, so we can't really pick the colors, you know, because even if you put 10 shades of clothes into it, it almost becomes one.
Right.
You can't really see it, because from a light side it becomes very light and shiny, from dark side it becomes so. In your scenario,
Right, exactly.
that's the reason we wanted to do the wool, because to capture that watercolor effect, have all these tones. If you had done it in silk, you would not.
It would have been lost.
It would get, and also gets blotchy, you know.
Right.
And sometimes when I get to this part, because I try to be on each individual project myself, if I'm around, I would tell the outcome. Sometimes the clients don't want to hear it, but I tell them the way it is, you know. So, and I come with fact. It is also a lot of stories when it comes to rug story. You know, there is this belongs to so and so. There is so much story, but I always went with the fact versus fiction. You know, we talk about fact, like this is how it's done. This is what the expectation should be, and so I will be able to not only educate, but prepare the actual clients of what the expectation should be. And yeah,
I find it helpful if you actually bring the rug to the home and then you custom from there. So they've already bought in. They know the look. They know, yeah, I like this feel, this is right. And then,
yeah.
right? Or we adjust a little bit or.
That's right, and we have a suitcase with all this 1,200 palms that sometimes even if you're going for our normal style, I always have that as a backup plan. So in case once we go there and I feel that one or two of these colors are not, especially if you're doing a special size. One example I had a client many years ago, and the designer and the client came in. On the floor plan, I saw they have 9 feet by 12.6. We are looking at 9 by 12, and they fell in love with one rug, and I point out, what is this 6 inches? And she says, is this extra 6 inches, you get the carpet right to the edge of the chairs. So when you sit down, your feet is not on the carpet. It will be on the carpet. So I said, you know what, let's do that one. And I won't charge you anything extra for custom, because normal custom upcharge is about 20%, because everything has to be regraphed. Even if I want to change this to 8 by 11, I cannot use the map or the loom of 8 by 10 for 8 by 11. It has to occupy a 9 by 12, and the whole map needs to be redrawn, which each box is one tiny dot on the graph paper. And so I said, okay, I'll make this in 12.5 feet, and I'll just charge you that extra 6 inches. And so while we are at it, I'm not too crazy about this color. Can we switch this one? So we made it. And the difference between a 9 by 12, let's say it was like, it was only $700-800 more just for that square foot price that I charge extra. Mm-hmm. And this, oh my God, that's so amazing, because on the way we are talking here, I say if the customer is going to be $3,000-4,000 more, maybe we don't bother with it, which is not. And sometimes I put myself in their shoes, you know. Mm-hmm. I want to do my best job, and for the sake of the designer and the customers, leaving the best taste in their mouths. So that's what the bottom line is. And so that's how the process works in terms of really my arms are a little bit longer than my feet, so it's like custom tailoring it. You know what I mean? So exactly. So if it's a little bit short, I can't wear a jacket like this. That doesn't work that way. No, it looks off. It looks odd. You know. Yeah. So that's one thing. And every project is a new dawn. Let's new beginning. So I get so excited. Sometimes I get goosebumps talking about like when you see this. And many times I get the inspiration from the lighting or the staircase and the ceramic. You do a lot of inlays, beautiful marble inlays, you know. And sometimes you don't want to cover it, but we can carry those elements, bring it to the room. So that's why if you give us more information as what it is, we put our experience, you know, like my 6 years in this business, and every day is a new day, so it just makes it very exciting. I guess really.
Okay, I'm going to ask one more question, and then we'll see if there are any more questions from the group. Since you mentioned upcharge and pricing, I wonder if the three of you could tell us why it's been a good business decision for you to work with W Studio, and forget the soul and the heart and the artistry that it brings to the project. How does it help your business?
Well, I'm going to go back to the heart. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Talk about money. I want to say that when we are considering in a good business decision collaborating with somebody in the industry, I think it's really important. It's to ensure that those that you are working with share the same mantra. Because it has everything to do with supporting your belief system, supporting the end result.
Caliber of your work.
Absolutely. And it can go sideways really quickly if you choose the wrong people to work with. So I consider our approach in design and our mantra is to provide the best experience to our client, and that in the name of providing beauty through creativity, personalization, quality, craftsmanship, timeless design.
Service.
And I feel that, working with Alan, we share that. I know that's why I keep on coming back, right? And we share that and we work on that together. So I think that's the most important business decision from my point of view.
Great answer.
Ditto.
Same? Ditto.
Mine would be time.
It's true.
He saves, I think we've sold maybe in an hour, sometimes we can sell 5 rugs.
Yep, yep.
That's unheard of because he does the pre-editing. The client comes in, he's already prepared, boom, 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 and there's no distraction. And that goes a very long way. So it's excellent for me, and there's no time.
And time is the essence. Nobody has enough time. There's not enough time. And that's the whole idea of rug shopping. As I say, going back, is the most daunting task. If I wasn't in the rug business, I would never put my foot in this rug store. Imagine going through one.
You get
2,
tired. It's
3,
visual. We're getting tired now. We've been talking for how long?
All right. Are there any questions that any of you have for Alan or the panel? No pressure. Go ahead.
Yes? Yes?
I'm just curious, with clients that I have clients at the top end and more modest incomes. So I am quite impressed by the work that you do here after sitting through this panel, I have to say. And so if I was to be looking at a rug for someone with a little more modest of a budget, what range of price points would I be looking at if I brought them here?
Okay.
For your pieces
That's
that
a
are
Great question.
Yeah,
Great
really
question.
good.
That is one thing about if you're putting a budget together, and that's what actually a lot of times I mentioned to our designers, that many times they don't really allocate enough funds for the carpet. And if you keep on an average about $100 a square foot, it ranges from $100 to $200 a square foot. $100 for the wool, 100 knots per square inch, and then $200 for the pure silk, 100% silk. I've done a new line that is there about $50 or $60 a square foot, but they're not that good of a rug. You know, the bottom line, I'm not that confident. It's like I really, like they do sheds, you know, they're softer, you know, like we use New Zealand wool, which is after Tibetan wool, New Zealand are the best wool. But it's about educating them. And another thing that is happening right now, we all know Ruggable.
I was just about
Yes.
to bring that up.
I
Yeah.
do use them.
Yes.
Alan, I do use
I know.
Ruggable at the front door.
I know.
I'm sorry.
They're great for a front door.
Yes, there is that sort of polypropylene that the off gases.
Oh, there is that.
Yes, but again, for where we want it to be, just like the thing.
A walk-off.
And that is something that that's part of our education part. Yeah.
Well, I had a client who's a basement, just a small little thing I took on, and she did not want to invest in a proper rug, which broke me a little because I can't rugs. So we did look at a Ruggable, and in the end she returned it because they're actually, and I have also sourced Ruggable for a couple of my clients, but again, they're actually not, they're called rug covers. So the structure of those Ruggable rugs is actually in the undercap. And so every time her kids were moving things around with this buckling, it drove her crazy. So it's kind of that conversation where the market is just so oversaturated with these accessible fast fashion pieces. They're not necessarily going to be, but it is creating a conversation where we're trying to show them little proper pieces, and they're seeing these cheaper options. And
Buy less, buy better.
yes.
You know, and the other thing I want to say about that is I always teach my clients to invest in the fine things, you know. When you're talking about luxury design, what is luxury? Well, you know, it's something that has staying power, something that can, you know, move on and live with the family for many, many years.
Yeah.
Generation. Art, antiques, beautiful carpets, beautiful textiles. Flowers, simple luxuries as well.
right.
You know, so I think it's really about educating our clients to bring in those things that will stay with them. You know, that's sustainable as well. That's also good for the environment as opposed to, like you said, those polypropylene.
Polypropylene,
You know, and it's sustainable, it's healthy, all of those things. And I think that's what we should do as designers, is to really teach our clients to buy into the things that are going to have staying power.
So when you say $100 a square foot,
Yeah.
is that the price to the designer or the price to the client? The retail.
Price to the designer.
The designer.
Yes.
So an
price
8 by
to the
10 is
designer.
a
It's about
8,000
8,000, and then, like for instance, this particular one is 10,000, and so that's the list price. One thing actually I wanted to mention, I forgot. I think it's a very important factor. So it is as things are becoming much faster, the cottage industry is in a major decline. And rug making is part of the cottage industry. So you don't see a younger generation, or there is like a huge decline. Before the 2008 the crash, the financial crisis, there were about 500,000 people working in Kathmandu Valley making rugs by hand. After the 2008, now the latest count that we got is down to 60,000, 50,000.
Oh, that's a problem.
So many of them have left this industry because, first of all, you have to have experience. When you show the video, the hands go so fast you can't even read it. So we are trying to maintain this sort of dying art, which is in a huge decline, and we are hoping that they would become tomorrow's heirloom. And for sure, for the next 20 years, I would see. So we are a perfect timing that you can create something one of a kind. Like this carpet is only have one 8x10 we produce. So it's not mass produced, so you do have that sort of a uniqueness of each. But that's sort of getting that carpets made by hand and then using all this different, the amount of hours, like 1 day of production, on an 8 feet wide loom, 3 people sit next to each other. So 1 day of the production is about 2 inches, 5 to 6, 7 centimeters maximum is the progress. And that has to be tied simultaneously, 1 knot at a time. So, and that's the other part that we try to keep in this artisanal rug making still alive. And within this, there are millions and millions of people being fed. From the shepherds, from the spinners, from washers, from dyers, from weavers, from us, that we all included in one major thing. So it's and also there is zero effect on the environment. First of all, they are all biodegradable. Wool and silk are biodegradable. They are renewable resources, and making it, doesn't take that much energy to produce. So, and so it's a win in so many different. And if you talk to your clients, sometimes I suggest to clients, especially after the project is done, they always overspend. You have whatever the amount of the budget was. By the time it's done, they've gone. If they haven't gone double, they got 1.5 times or more. That's what the nature is. Mm-hmm. I made few houses myself. We have a faucet here. This is nice, and this is I like this one. So it adds up. So either allocate the safe budget at the beginning, or many times I tell the clients, just don't buy anything. Just don't buy it. Yeah, exactly. Just keep it.
Wait.
Don't have any rug.
Yeah.
Sure.
Maybe
there's
6
another
months, a
question
year.
over here, I think. Did you have your hand? Yeah. Go ahead, Delma.
So I was going to ask you, do you think AI would affect the production of producing these?
No, this artist, there's a hand. This is no way. Machine can never, although Turkey has gone long way, before machine-made carpets were ugly and handmade carpets were nice. But nowadays, actually, machine-made carpets are quite nice looking. It nice, even has a nice sheen. It feels nice, because of the technology that's coming. But AI actually, not so much in production, but in design. I have used actually on the AI and ChatGPT, give me some ideas, the mid-century modern and stuff. And the design-wise actually could help us.
Not in the production.
No, there's no way. This is the thousands and thousands of years of history and rug making. There's no way, like 3D printing, there's no way that this is
It feels
possible.
different. Something handmade feels completely different.
And it's alive. There's something energy.
I believe in the energy.
Yeah.
I think though, what I want to say about that is there should be a good, they should be equal protagonists, man-made, machine-made and the handcrafted.
Yeah.
And if you can take those together, for instance, by using the expertise of maybe a computer, to broaden the perspective, the creative perspective, and then still though to work in with the handmade qualities of it. That's what then can be really, really beautiful.
What I love the AI or like the 3D renderings, they're fantastic. They're so realistic. And then lately I've been working on the video. It's just I'm walking to the place. Okay, that's easy. That makes my job easier. It's hard when you see a little fabric swatches, try to guess. Okay, and sometimes the cushion and the sofa, they're the same size. I don't know which one is obviously sofa takes the front center. But the 3D renderings are amazing and really makes our job easier. And then we could even put the same rug onto the 3D rendering. And also, again, the technology is helping us with which is actually one of our Ines clients that we did in New York. And we did the preliminary work and we did arrange a FaceTime. We had the 3 or 4 carpets that they were the candidates, and then we walked around and the clients picked that. So there are technologies that really help us, but for the rug making, no, I don't think so. I don't think so. Maybe I have no idea. But yeah.
One more question.
I mean, I've seen the robotics.
Thank you so much for all insightful sharing. I understand that it's totally depends on it how big or how the size and pattern, but roughly how much time should we consider after placing the order for delivering a custom rug?
Okay. Minimum is about 3 months for small pieces. It takes about 2 weeks to just dye the yarn, and then a few days to set up the loom, and then based on the size of the, it takes 3 to 4 months is minimum, upward of 6 months. This particular carpet, which just got off the loom, I was surprised because I checked with David to see when we placed the order. 4.5 months for that massive carpet. We told the client 6-7 months just to be on the safe side, but God knows, how long it takes for them to finish the carpet. But in 4.5 months, they made this carpet. During the COVID, the first COVID that we had one client that they're very time sensitive. We have already done a few of their homes past. She said to me, Alan, I need this carpet by August 15. And it was in April. They placed the order. And many of them were large. And I said, you know what, I would like to get this job because this business is important. I talked to my partners back in Nepal. I said, this is the situation. This client is it was a Monday, August 15th. I never forget that day. And she said, okay. I said, well, how's the situation in Nepal? Everything was shut down. I said, but I need this one. I said, okay, just tell them you can do it. So it was August 1st. I called the designer and said, you know what? She goes to me before she says, hi, Alan, do you have a bad news for me too? I said, no. I said, she was just ready, just ripped. Because I'm sure he was getting so many different calls from different suppliers. I said, no, as a matter of fact, I want to say the carpets are washed and being shipped. And there was no flight coming out of Nepal. We had to pay like $20 a kilo versus $3 a kilo that we had to pay before to get the carpets. On Monday, when we went there were a bunch of trucks waiting for us to lay the rug, and then it just came in. It was even 1 day late. It's not the end of the world. We will still move the furniture, put the carpet. But in terms of our commitment, and thank God it made us look good, because this is woven on the other side of the world, So that's the trust that I have in my backing. They're doing all the hard work. I do the easier part. I've come up with the concept and sort of marketing it.
Easy, for sure.
No, but I was ironing the carpet for 3 hours. I was dying, but let alone these guys have weaved this carpet day and day. Anyway, thanks.
All right, well, that's great.
Yeah.
Thank you to the 3 of you on behalf of Alan and IDC for participating in this. We have some lunch. I'm sure if you have more questions, you can talk to the 3 of them or Alan directly. We are hopefully going to have a draw. Alan's got some draws. Maybe we'll do that through lunch in case some of you aren't sticking around for the next piece. Yeah. We're not exactly sure how the next piece of the workshop is going to go, but let's have lunch and thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you.